The mansion smelled like money and ghosts. Amari Okoye stood in the entrance hall of the Kang estate, her worn suitcase heavy in her hand, and felt the cold seep into her bones. White marble stretched endlessly beneath her feet, so polished she could see her reflection, a black woman in a cheap blue dress, out of place in this temple of ice and wealth. The walls were stark white, decorated with minimalist Korean art that looked expensive and soulless. Photographs lined the corridor, stern-faced men in suits, three generations of Kang patriarchs staring down with expressions that promised violence to anyone who disappointed them. No women, no warmth, no life. "I'm here for you, Chidi," Amari thought, gripping her brother's last text message in her mind like a prayer. "Working at the docks. Good money. Don't worry, sis. That was 3 months ago, before the silence. Before the Nigerian embassy told her there was no record of Chidi Okoye ever entering Korea. Before the police closed his missing persons case after one day. Before she sold everything she owned to buy a plane ticket and take a maid position with the one family connected to every shipping dock in Seoul. Footsteps echoed on marble. Kang Dae-jin entered like winter personified, tall, sharp-featured, wearing a black suit that probably cost more than her entire education. His face was handsome in the way expensive things are handsome, perfect but cold, carved from ice instead of flesh. His eyes swept over her once, dismissive, calculating. "You're the new maid," he said in Korean, his tone making it sound like an insult. "Yes, Mr. Kang." Amari's Korean was accented but clear. "Clean well, stay invisible." He moved past her toward his study, then paused. "I don't like looking at help, especially help that stands out." The racism was subtle, practiced, designed to make her feel small without giving her words to fight back with. Amari lifted her chin, met his eyes. "My dignity isn't yours to take, Mr. Kang." Daejin froze mid-step. People didn't speak to him that way. People cowered, apologized, disappeared into the wallpaper like he ordered. This woman stood straight, her dark eyes steady, her full figure wrapped in cheap fabric, but radiating something he couldn't name. Not defiance exactly. Something worse. Self-possession. He felt his jaw tighten. "Don't test me. I'm here to work, nothing more." He walked away without responding, but Amari saw his shoulders tense, saw the moment her words landed. Good. She wouldn't survive this if she became invisible. 3 hours later, while cleaning his private study, Amari found it. A shipping manifest tucked inside a leather portfolio. Dock 7, March 15th. And at the bottom of the personnel list in blue ink, Chidi Okoye, temporary labor, witness clearance required. Her heart stopped. Her brother had been here, in this house's web, and someone had marked him for clearance. She photographed the document with shaking hands, then replaced it exactly as she'd found it. She didn't know then that this mansion held both her answers and her destruction. If you're watching at midnight, wondering if she finds her brother, like and subscribe, because what comes next will shatter you. Drop where you're watching from in the comments, and brace yourself. Someone won't survive this story. Amari closed the portfolio, and Kang Dae-jin watched her from the security camera feed in his bedroom, seeing her photograph his secrets, and felt something dangerous stir in his chest. Interest. The first 2 weeks taught Amari three things about Kang Dae-jin. He was cruel, he was brilliant, and he was terrified of her. Not physically. But in some way, he didn't understand, and she was beginning to. Her mornings began at 5. She'd wake in the small maid's quarters, a room barely larger than her childhood bedroom in Lagos, and think about Chidi, his laugh, the way he'd call her sis, even though she was only 2 years older, the way he'd promised to send money home for their mother's medicine. "Korea's different, Amari. People here work hard. I'll be safe, I promise." But Chidi had lied, or been lied to. She'd spent 6 months after his calls stopped trying official channels. The Nigerian embassy in Seoul was useless, understaffed, overwhelmed, dismissive of a poor woman asking about a brother who'd come on a work visa. The Korean police took her report, then closed it within 24 hours. No evidence of foul play, likely returned home. But Chidi would never leave without telling her. So Amari had done what her mother taught her. She'd sold her small accounting practice in Lagos, liquidated everything, studied basic Korean through YouTube videos at internet cafes, and applied for maid positions at every company connected to Seoul's shipping industry. When the Kang family responded, she knew God was either helping her or testing her. Kang Dae-jin's world was violence wrapped in silk. She learned this through observation. He ran a legitimate shipping empire that moved electronics, textiles, automotive parts through Busan and Incheon ports. But late-night meetings in his study involved men with dead eyes and languages she didn't speak. Ledgers she glimpsed while cleaning showed transactions marked special cargo, amounts too large for legal goods. He was 34, unmarried, infamous in certain circles for ruthlessness his father had beaten into him since childhood. She'd heard Min-jae, Dae-jin's younger cousin and the mansion's financial officer, whisper to a guard once, he was different before. Then his father broke something inside him. Now he's just efficient. Dae-jin worked 18-hour days, spoke 4 languages fluently, never smiled. His home was a mausoleum he barely inhabited, and he treated her like she was dirt. The floor has a spot, he'd say, pointing. Are you blind or incompetent? Neither, Mr. Kang. I'll clean it. People like you should be grateful for work here. In my father's time, you wouldn't have been allowed past the gate. Times change, Amari would respond calmly, meeting his eyes, and every time he'd look away first. Angry, confused. The mansion's other inhabitants watched this dance with fascination. Min-jae, 28 with kind eyes and progressive politics he hid from his uncle, sometimes left Amari extra food from dinner. You're brave, he told her once. Most people last 3 days before Dae-jin breaks them. I'm not most people. I can see that. Be careful. When he doesn't understand something, he destroys it. Hae-jin, Dae-jin's ex-lover and current business partner, visited twice during those first weeks. She was beautiful the way a knife is beautiful, sharp, cold, designed to cut. She noticed how Dae-jin's eyes followed Amari across rooms. You've gotten interesting, Hae-jin told him at dinner. Watching The Help now? Don't be ridiculous. But Amari saw it too, felt his gaze like heat, saw him coincidentally entering rooms she was cleaning. Once she bent to pick up a dropped cloth and heard his breath catch, turned to find him staring at her curves with an expression between hunger and horror. Do you need something, Mr. Kang? No. He'd left quickly. Late one night, Amari broke. She was in the kitchen at 2 a.m., unable to sleep, staring at the photo of Chidi on her phone. 23 years old in the picture, grinning at a Lagos beach, full of dreams about Korean opportunities. I'm trying, brother, she whispered. I'm so close. Just tell me where you are. Who are you talking to? Amari jumped. Dae-jin stood in the doorway in sweatpants and a t-shirt, the most casual she'd ever seen him. His hair was messy. His eyes, for once, weren't cold. No one, she said, wiping her eyes quickly. He stared at the phone in her hand. Family? My brother. Where is he? The question was almost gentle. This is almost human. I don't know, Amari said honestly. He came to Korea, then he disappeared. Something flickered in Dae-jin's expression. Guilt? Suspicion? It vanished before she could name it. People disappear for many reasons, he said carefully. Not Chidi. He would never leave me wondering. Dae-jin opened his mouth, closed it, walked away without another word. But the next morning, Amari found a box of expensive tissues on her cleaning cart. No note, no acknowledgement, just one small crack in his armor. And at dawn, through the kitchen window, she watched him feed 3 stray dogs in the garden, speaking softly to them in Korean, his face briefly, heartbreakingly soft. A monster who fed strays, a racist who left her tissues, a man who looked at her like she was both his salvation and his destruction. Amari photographed 17 more documents that week, and Kang Dae-jin started having dreams about a woman whose dignity he couldn't break and whose body he couldn't stop imagining beneath his hands. Neither of them knew they were already past the point of no return. The gunfire came at 2:47 a.m., shattering the study windows into a constellation of lethal glass. Dae-jin's first instinct was the Glock in his desk drawer. His second was diving behind the mahogany as bullets chewed through leather chairs and ancient scrolls. The Bike family, those territorial dogs, had finally grown teeth. Outside, his guards returned fire. Inside, blood bloomed across his white shirt like a crimson flower. The bullet had kissed his ribs, a lover's graze that burned like hellfire. He stumbled into the hallway, leaving red handprints on silk wallpaper. His vision swam. Somewhere, Min-jae was shouting orders. Somewhere, his empire was bleeding out with him. Then, hands, small, strong, terrified. Jesus Christ, Amari breathed, materializing from the shadows where she'd been buffing floors. Her eyes went wide at the blood. You're hit. Brilliant observation. His laugh came out wet. Leave. This isn't your. Another volley of gunfire made the decision for her. She hooked his arm over her shoulders, her body warm and solid against his side. Shut up and move. She dragged him through the servants' corridor. That secret map she'd been building, the one she thought he didn't know about, to a panel behind the wine cellar. The panic room, his father's paranoid gift. The steel door sealed them in silence. The room was small, soundproof. Amari lowered him onto the leather bench, her breathing hard. First aid kit? Cabinet. He gestured weakly. You should have left me. Yeah. Well, she grabbed supplies with shaking hands. I'm stupid that way. She knelt between his legs, fingers working his buttons. The shirt peeled away, sticky with blood. Her touch was clinical at first, alcohol swab, gauze, but he saw her hesitate at the expanse of scarred skin. Old wounds telling old stories. This will hurt, she warned, then pressed the antiseptic-soaked cloth to torn flesh. He hissed. Her free hand steadied his shoulder, thumb stroking his collarbone in unconscious comfort. The gesture was so gentle, it hurt worse than the bullet. She leaned closer, examining the wound. Her breasts pressed soft against his chest. The scent of her, cocoa butter and something indefinably her, filled his lungs. Her curls tickled his jaw as she worked. Those capable hands, those full lips pursed in concentration, that warmth radiating from her body into his. Horror flooded him as his body responded. No, not now, not like this. But she was soft where he was hard, gentle where he was broken, and his traitorous cock stiffened against the zipper that suddenly felt like a torture device. The shame was exquisite. 43 years old and responding like a teenager to simple proximity. Amari's hand stilled. She'd felt it, his hardness against her stomach as she leaned in. Her eyes snapped to his face. Daejin wanted to die. Actually die. Blood loss suddenly seemed preferable to this humiliation. Then he laughed, bitter, broken, unhinged. You are so sweet. The words tumbled out, raw and wrecked. I came in 2 minutes, like a fucking virgin. The silence screamed. Amari's face cycled through shock, confusion, something almost like pity. She pulled back slowly, bandage half finished. Don't. His voice cracked. Don't look at me like that. Daejin, get out. The old cruelty rushed back like armor. Don't touch me again. Don't fucking, just get out. But his eyes, dark and drowning, followed her to the door. Later, when Minjae found him, Daejin was still staring at the blood on the floor. Hers, mixed with his, and feeling something far more dangerous than a bullet wound. He's more dangerous when he's confused, Minjae would warn Amari the next morning, watching his boss pretend nothing had changed. Be careful. The mansion became a minefield of accidental encounters. Daejin told himself it was coincidence, that he happened to need files from the drawing room exactly when Amari polished the floors there. That his sudden interest in the library's organization had nothing to do with her dusting the shelves each Tuesday. But his body remembered what his mind tried to forget. Her softness, her scent, that devastating gentleness. So he weaponized cruelty instead. He remarked as she passed with linens, voice loud enough for other staff to hear. Do they get stuck in doorways? His laugh was calculated venom. Maybe we need wider doors or smaller maids. Amari's jaw tightened, but she didn't cower. She met his eyes with something that looked dangerously like understanding, and that made it worse. At night, he watched security footage of her working, memorized the way she moved, hated himself for it. Meanwhile, Amari was finding answers that tasted like poison. The shipping logs were coded, but she'd learned his system. Doc 7, March 15th. Incident report buried in customs paperwork. Her brother's name, Chidi Okoye, 28, dock worker, witnessed irregularities in pharmaceutical shipment. The final notation made her blood freeze. Witness contained, permanent solution authorized, DJP, Daejin's initials. She photographed everything with trembling hands, not noticing the security camera's red eye blinking in the corner. The rainstorm hit on a Thursday, killing power mansion-wide. Backup generators failed. Sabotage, Minjae would later discover, leaving them in cathedral darkness. Amari was in the West Wing when footsteps approached. Why are you really here? Daejin's voice cut through black velvet, closer than expected. I told you, work. Liar. He was right behind her now. She felt his breath on her neck. Lagos to Seoul for housekeeping wages? No one's that desperate. You'd be surprised what desperation looks like. Her voice stayed steady, barely. Try me. Instead, she turned the question back. Why do you hate so much? What happened to you? Silence. Then, rough as broken glass. My father beat love out of me, said it was mercy, said I'd survive longer without it. He was right. That's not survival. Amari's hand found his in the darkness, automatic compassion she'd regret later. That's death while breathing. His fingers tightened around hers. You're too soft for this world. And you're too hard for yours. The power flickered back. Light revealed his face inches from hers, something raw and hunted in his eyes. He dropped her hand like it burned. But the next day, he stood too close while inspecting her work. His hand accidentally brushed her waist. Electricity arced between them, undeniable, terrifying. She found him watching her constantly. Once, after a 16-hour shift, she'd collapsed on the staff room couch. She woke hours later covered by his cashmere throw, the security footage showing him standing over her sleeping form for 7 full minutes, face twisted in confusion. Then Hyjin arrived for lunch, all against and poison. That Maid, she murmured, loud enough for Daejin to hear. Women like her always have agendas. Pretty face, foreign curves, classic honey trap. Who sent her? The paranoia took root instantly. Run a full background check, he ordered Minjae that night. Everything. I want to know why she's really here. In her room, Amari uploaded the photographs to her encrypted cloud. Justice for Chidi was close. So close. Neither noticed they were both hunting truths that would destroy them. The collision was inevitable now. Minjae entered the office like a pallbearer. You need to see this. The evidence spilled across Daejin's desk. Surveillance photos of Amari in his office at 3 a.m., camera pointed at his files. Background check results. And the name that detonated everything, Chidi Okoye, brother, deceased. She's been playing you from day one, Minjae said quietly. Daejin's hands trembled as he pulled the incident report. March 15th, Dock 7. Witness to a regular pharmaceutical shipment, the polite term for human cargo. His father's handwriting in the margins? Eliminate. Make it disappear. Chidi Okoye, 23, beaten unconscious, weighted, thrown into the harbor. Body never recovered. Daejin's signature sat at the bottom of the operational approval. He'd signed it without reading. Trusted his father to handle logistics. He vomited into his waste bin. Midnight. He kicked open Amari's door without knocking. She was packing. Already knew, somehow. Her eyes met his without fear. You're a fucking spy. He threw the photos at her feet. You've been using me. Your family killed my brother. Her voice was stone. Chidi Okoye. He called me every Sunday until he didn't. Then I got a text from his phone. Accident at work. Body lost at sea. Except it wasn't an accident, was it? I didn't know. You signed the papers. She was screaming now, tears streaming. You run those docs. His blood is on your hands. I sign 100 documents a day. Daejin's voice cracked. My father, he handled problems. I didn't ask how because I was a fucking coward. I should have. God, I should have. He shoved the full report at her. Crime scene photos, his father's orders, everything. I'm sorry. The words tasted like ash. I'm fucking sorry, but sorry doesn't bring him back. Amari's face crumpled. She flew at him, fists hammering his chest. He was good. He was pure. And you people destroyed him like he was nothing. Daejin took every hit. Deserved worse. Finally caught her wrists when she started hurting herself more than him. I can't undo it. His eyes were drowning. But I can destroy everyone responsible, including my father. Your father? She laughed bitterly. You're your father's son. Then let me prove otherwise. The kiss was violence. She lunged first, teeth in rage, trying to hurt him, trying to feel anything but grief. He kissed back like a man drowning, swallowing her sobs, tasting salt and fury. They tore at each other, hate and want tangled, indistinguishable. The sex was raw, devastating. She cried when he entered her. He cried when she whispered his name like a curse. Beautiful, he breathed against her skin, worshipping curves he'd mocked. Powerful, mine. I'm not yours, she gasped, but her body betrayed her, arching into his touch. You are. God help us both, you are. Afterward, they lay in wreckage, sheets twisted, bodies slick with sweat and tears, her head on his scarred chest, his fingers tracing patterns on her spine. What happens now? She whispered. I don't know. Honest for once. But I'm done protecting monsters. She woke alone. Sunlight cut through curtains. On the pillow, an envelope thick with documents, evidence against the Kang family operations, shipping manifests, bank accounts, testimonies, everything needed to destroy his empire. The note was written in his precise handwriting. Take this. Destroy us. It's what we deserve. But no, I would burn it all for you. Already am. Amari clutched the envelope to her chest and wept for her brother, for Daejin, for the impossible thing growing between them that could only end in ashes. Outside, Minjae waited to drive her to the police station. The war had begun. The Korean National Police detective looked at Amari like she'd handed him a nuclear weapon. If this is accurate, he breathed, flipping through Daejin's evidence, we can dismantle the entire Kang operation and the Baek family. This is unprecedented. When? Amari's voice was hollow. Raid happens tomorrow at dawn. You'll need protective custody until no custody. I'm leaving Korea tonight. She wasn't, but she needed to believe the lie. Kang Joon-ho discovered the leak at dinner. His informant in the police department called just as dessert arrived. The old man's face went purple with rage. He found Daejin in the study, staring at nothing. You gave evidence to the authorities. Not a question. You betrayed your blood for a black whore? Daejin didn't deny it. The first blow split his lip. The second cracked ribs. Junho beat his son with methodical precision, punishment perfected over decades. I should have killed the weakness in you when you were a boy, he panted, standing over Daejin's bleeding form. Should have drowned it like a defective puppy. Daejin spat blood. You killed everything good in me. She brought it back. Then I'll kill her too. Junho pulled out his phone. She disappears tonight. Minjae found Amari at her apartment, throwing clothes into a suitcase. They're coming for you. He was breathless, terrified. Daejin can't stop them. His father's ordered the hit. You need to run, now. He pressed money and a passport into her hands. There's a flight to Lagos in 2 hours. I can get you to the airport if we leave. Headlights flooded the windows. Back door, Minjae hissed. But the Baek family was faster. They'd been monitoring police communications, knew about the evidence, wanted Amari for themselves. She made it 3 blocks before the van cut her off. The warehouse smelled like rust and terror. The Baek family leader circled her chair, smoking languidly. You ruined 2 empires with your investigation. Impressive for a maid. Amari said nothing. Wouldn't give them satisfaction. Will make you wish you died with your brother. He nodded to his lieutenant, who produced a tablet. Actually, let me show you something special. The video was grainy. Security footage from Dock 7. Chidi fighting, screaming, dragged by 4 men. The beating, the weights, the splash. And in the corner of the frame, a figure watching from the office window. Recognize him? The Baek leader zoomed in. That's your precious Daejin. He watched. He fucking approved it. It was a lie. The figure was his father, similar build, but Amari's world collapsed anyway. He knew, she whispered, all along. Used you. Fucked you. Laughed about it, probably. The leader stubbed out his cigarette on her arm. She didn't flinch. Any last words before you join your brother? Amari closed her eyes, pictured Chidi's smile, pictured Daejin's lies, pictured nothing. Do it. Daejin pressed the gun to his father's forehead. Tell me where she is or I kill you now. Junho laughed, wet, painful. Blood seeped from the bullet wound in his leg. You're already dead to me. You chose pussy over power. Where is she? The Baeks have her. Warehouse district. But you're too late, boy. By now she's fish food, just like her. Daejin pistol whipped him unconscious. Grabbed his phone, found the location in recent messages. Minjae was waiting with the car, engine running. She thinks you betrayed her, he warned as they screamed through Seoul streets. The Baeks showed her doctored footage. She thinks you killed Chidi personally. Daejin touched his ribs, broken, bleeding. Then I'll die proving otherwise. Gunfire echoed from the warehouse ahead. They were out of time. Daejin came through the warehouse door like death itself. No backup, no plan. Just a gun in each hand and nothing left to lose. The first Baek operative died before he could shout. The second managed to scream before Daejin put a bullet through his throat. Silencers made it almost peaceful. He took a round to the shoulder. Didn't slow. Another grazed his thigh, kept moving. Found her in the back room, tied to a chair, face swollen, eyes hollow. Those eyes that looked through him like he was already a corpse. You watched him die. Her voice was sandpaper. They showed me. You stood in that window and watched Chidi drown, and you approved it. Daejin cut her bonds with shaking hands. That's a lie. I swear on my worthless life, I didn't know until you told me. Why should I believe you? Because I just shot my father in the leg for you. He hauled her up. Because I burned my empire for you. Because I'm bleeding out and the only thing I care about is getting you safe. Gunfire erupted from the entrance. Reinforcements. Can you run? He asked. Instead of answering, she grabbed a fallen weapon and shot the man coming through the door. Can you? They fought through the warehouse side by side, her rage finding purpose, his desperation finding strength. She covered his blind spots. He took hits meant for her. A bank lieutenant got the drop on him. Amari put 3 rounds in the man's chest without hesitation. When the exit was clear, Daejin collapsed against the van. Blood soaked through his shirt in 3 places. Minjae's safe house, he gasped. Drive. She stitched him up on a dingy couch, hands steadier than her heart. You came for me, she said, threading sutures. Did you think I wouldn't? I thought you'd choose your family. Daejin laughed, pained, delirious. You're an idiot. You've been my family since you made me come in 2 minutes like a fucking virgin. Despite everything, she almost smiled. His hand found hers. I'm sorry, I'm so fucking sorry, about your brother, about everything I am. But I love you. I don't know how, but I do. You're a monster. The words caught in her throat. I know. His eyes were fever bright. But I'm your monster now. If you'll have me. Amari tied off the last stitch, sat back, studied this man who destroyed her world and somehow became her world. I wanted revenge, she whispered. I wanted you to suffer like Chidi suffered, like I suffered. I am suffering. Living without you would be worse than any bullet. That's not. She stopped, started again. I don't forgive you. I may never forgive you, but I don't want you to die. Daejin's broken smile was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen. That's enough. That's more than I deserve. The evidence is with the authorities, she said, businesslike. Both families will fall. We have maybe 24 hours before they realize we're together and come hunting. Come with me. He sat up despite her protests. Anywhere. We disappear. Start over. You and me. I don't know if I can love you. Then let me spend my life earning it. He cupped her face with blood-stained hands. Let me spend every day proving I'm more than my father's son, that I can be the man you deserve. You'll never be that man. I know. He pressed his forehead to hers, but I'll die trying. She kissed him, soft, devastating, terrified. 24 hours, she breathed. Then we end this. Together? Together. They didn't run. Instead, at midnight, they returned to the Kang mansion with a plan born from desperation and rage. You're insane, Minjae hissed over the phone. Both families want you dead. Good. Daejin checked his weapons. Let them come. All of them. One place, one time. He'd sent messages from his father's phone. Emergency meeting. The maid has all the evidence. Come prepared to negotiate. The Kang family arrived first, his father in a wheelchair, leg bandaged, uncles flanking like wolves. Then the Baek family, hungry for blood. They found Daejin and Amari standing in the center of the meeting room. Together, defiant. Last chance. Junho's voice was pure venom. Kill her. Burn the evidence. Come home. She is home. Daejin's gun never wavered. You're the enemy I should have killed years ago. The Baek leader laughed. You destroyed our operations for a whore. Touching. You'll both bleed tonight. Daejin smiled. Funny. That's what your men said before I killed them? Now, Amari shouted. Police flooded through every entrance. She'd triggered the raid remotely, timed perfectly. Federal agents, SWAT, arrest warrants for everyone. Chaos erupted, gunfire, shouting, handcuffs clicking like macabre applause. But Junho, knowing he was finished, had 1 bullet left and 1 target. If I can't have my son, no one can. He aimed at Amari. Daejin moved without thinking, body before bullet, love before survival. The impact punched through his chest. He fell. His father's head snapped back as police returned fire, dead before he hit the ground. No, no, no. Amari caught Daejin, cradled his head. Blood bubbled at his lips. You don't get to die. You promised me a life. You promised. He struggled for air. You are so sweet, worth dying for. You don't get to leave me. I love you, you bastard. I love you. First time she'd said it. First time she meant it. Daejin's smile was radiant. Took you? Long enough. His eyes closed. Stay with me. She pressed her hands to the wound. Medic! Somebody help! Minjae was already there, already calling it in. The world blurred into sirens and prayer. 3 months later, the Lagos cemetery was peaceful. Chidi's recovered body finally had a proper grave. Amari knelt in the grass, fingers tracing her brother's name on the headstone. I got them, Chidi. I got them all. A hand settled on her shoulder. Daejin, thinner, scarred but alive, stood beside her in a wheelchair he didn't need anymore but used when tired. I'm sorry I never met him, he said quietly. He would have hated you. She leaned into his touch, but maybe eventually he would have understood. The prosecutor's final report had been clear. Daejin's testimony dismantled 3 syndicates, freed 47 trafficking victims, ended a 20-year reign of terror. Prison time, reduced from life to 7 years for cooperation. He'd accepted without argument. I owe a debt. I'll pay it. But that was 6 months away. First this. Tell me about him, Daejin said. Tell me everything. So Amari did. Spoke of her brother's laugh, his dreams, his Sunday calls. Daejin listened like prayer, memorizing a man he'd inadvertently helped kill. When the sun set, they remained. Former enemies, impossible lovers, 2 broken people building something whole from the wreckage. I love you, she said. Still hard. Still true. I know. He kissed her temple. You're so sweet. You came in 2 minutes. She laughed through tears, hit his shoulder, held him close. Idiot. You're idiot. Yeah. She smiled against his chest. Mine. 18 months later, Amari waited outside Busan Detention Center as dawn broke over the East Sea. The gates opened. Daejin walked out in donated clothes, no designer suits, no empire, no blood money. Just a man. She ran. He caught her. They collided like continents. I waited, she breathed into his neck. I know. I felt you every day. Their apartment was small, 3rd floor walk-up, 1 bedroom, kitchen where you couldn't open the fridge and oven simultaneously. Daejin worked construction, honest calluses, honest sweat. Amari's Nigerian restaurant, Chidi's Kitchen, hosted cultural nights where Korean kids learned to make jollof rice and egusi soup. Her brother would have loved it. Daejin attended therapy twice weekly. Unlearning racism was harder than breaking bones, required excavating rot from his soul. He read James Baldwin and Chimamanda Adichie. Attended support groups for former gang members where he said, my name is Daejin and I was a monster. And they said, welcome. Amari still woke screaming some nights. He held her through it, whispering apologies that would never be enough but were everything. Their love was messy, complicated, real. On their balcony one evening, city lights glittering below like scattered stars, she asked, do you regret it, losing everything? Daejin set down his beer. I didn't lose everything. I lost nothing. I gained you. I still get angry sometimes. Her voice was small. About Chidi, about what you were. You should. He took her hand. I was a monster. Some days I still feel like one. But you chose to change. She squeezed back. That's what matters. Do you forgive me yet? She considered. Some days, not others. Ask me again in 50 years. Deal. He attempted jollof rice the following week, an unmitigated disaster that had Amari laughing until she cried. This is a crime against rice, she gasped. Arrest me. He grinned, then dropped to one knee. The ring was simple silver, all he could afford. I have nothing to offer but a broken man trying to be better every day. But if you'll have me, if you'll let me spend my life earning what you gave me that night in the panic room. Yes, no hesitation. Every day, even the hard ones. The kiss tasted like redemption. Their wedding was small. Min-jae stood as best man, tears streaming unashamedly. Amari's mother flew from Lagos, a formidable woman who studied Daejin like a threat before pulling him into a crushing hug. You hurt my daughter. I'll finish what the bullet started, she whispered. Yes, ma'am. At the reception, Chidi's photograph sat on the head table. Daejin touched it gently. I'll spend my life honoring him. I promise. They danced to Afrobeat, his rhythm terrible, her laughter brilliant. As the night deepened, Min-jae raised a glass. To the man who came in 2 minutes but stayed a lifetime. Everyone roared. Daejin blushed. Amari kissed him soundly. You're never living that down, she murmured. Good. He held her close. Means you're never letting me go. Never. 2 people who shouldn't work but did. Love doesn't ask permission. Healing doesn't wait for perfect. Sometimes the sweetest revolution is choosing to build instead of destroy.